What if I told you that the key to protecting your independence, to staying in your own home, to never becoming a burden on your children, could be found in just 5 minutes every morning? It might sound like a gimmick, like one of those late-night television promises that are too good to be true. And if you've ever felt a moment of unsteadiness reaching for a coffee mug, or a twinge of frustration when a simple task feels just a little bit harder than it used to, you have every right to be skeptical. But what we are going to talk about today is not a gimmick. It's a scientifically backed concept, a powerful strategy for taking control of your physical well-being. It's called exercise snacking, and it's designed specifically for intelligent, capable adults who refuse to quietly accept a life of diminishing capabilities. This isn't just about exercise. We know the stakes are much higher than that. This is about dignity. It's about the deep, fundamental human need to be in control of our own lives. For many of us, the greatest fear isn't death. It's the loss of autonomy. It's the thought of having to depend on someone else for the simplest things. This 5-minute ritual is your daily declaration that you are still the one in charge. It's your shield against that fear and your commitment to the independent life you've worked so hard to build. So let's be very clear about our goal today. This isn't a grueling, hour-long workout that leaves you exhausted. This is a strategic, surgical strike against the physical declines that threaten our independence. The concept of exercise snacking is simple but profound. Instead of one long, intimidating session, you engage in short, effective bursts of activity throughout the day. And the research backs this up powerfully. For instance, studies highlighted by UCLA Health have shown that intense, short micro-sessions, some lasting as little as 2 minutes, can be just as beneficial as longer, more traditional exercise routines for older adults. The reason this works so well is that it overcomes the biggest barriers: fear of injury, lack of time, and the feeling of being overwhelmed. Today, we're going to package this powerful idea into one simple, repeatable morning ritual. We're going to walk through 6 specific steps, one by one. Each one is chosen not at random, but based on recommendations from trusted institutions like Johns Hopkins Medicine, the National Institute on Aging, and the Mayo Clinic. And a quick but important reminder: I am not a doctor, and this video is for informational purposes only. The goal here is to share well-researched, empowering information, but it is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please consult with your healthcare provider before starting any new exercise program, especially if you have pre-existing conditions or concerns. They know your health history best. Your safety is, and always must be, the #1 priority. Our first step in this daily ritual is the simplest, and yet it might be one of the most profound. It begins the moment you wake up, before your feet even touch the floor. It's about hydration and a mindful moment. I want you to imagine your spine for a second. The cartilage discs between your vertebrae are like tiny sponges. Overnight, as you lie down, they rehydrate and expand. According to medical experts at places like Johns Hopkins Medicine, starting your day with a glass of water is one of the best things you can do. It continues that hydration process, helping to lubricate not just those spinal discs, but all the joints in your body, which can ease some of that morning stiffness we all feel. I remember my own grandfather, a wonderful man who insisted he was plenty hydrated. But his version of hydration was 3 cups of black coffee. He'd wake up feeling stiff and sore, attributing it to just getting older. When he finally made a change and started his day with a big glass of water before the coffee, he was astonished at how much better his back and knees felt within a week. So the action step here is incredibly simple. Tonight, Before you go to bed, place a glass of water on your bedside table. Make it the very first thing you do tomorrow morning. Drink it all. And as you drink it, take just 30 seconds for a moment of reflection. You can think of one thing you're grateful for, or set one simple positive intention for the day. This tiny act does more than just hydrate your body. It sets a positive, calm, and controlled tone for everything that follows. It's a quiet declaration that you are starting the day on your own terms. Now that we've woken up the body and set a positive tone for the mind, it's time to fire up the primary engine that moves us through the world, our legs. This brings us to step number 2, a foundational movement called the sit to stand. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been sitting in a low, comfortable armchair and found yourself needing to rock forward a bit to get up? Or maybe you subtly push off with your hands to give yourself a little boost. It's a small thing, something we do almost unconsciously, but it's a quiet signal that the powerful muscles in our legs and glutes are not quite as strong as they used to be. The sit-to-stand, recommended by the National Institute on Aging as a core strength exercise, directly targets this. It builds strength in the quadriceps, the hamstrings, and the glutes, the muscles that are absolutely critical for getting out of a chair, getting up from the toilet, and climbing in and out of a car. These aren't vanity muscles. They are the muscles of independence. A friend of mine told me about her mother, a proud woman named Eleanor. Eleanor had started turning down invitations to go out to eat at certain restaurants. My friend was confused until she realized the restaurants Eleanor avoided were the ones with low booths. Eleanor was privately terrified of the embarrassment of struggling to get up from the table. It wasn't about the food. It was about her dignity. Once she started practicing sit-to-stands at home, her confidence soared. Within a month, she was suggesting restaurants herself. The action step is this. Find a sturdy, stable chair that won't slide. A dining room chair is often perfect. Sit on the edge, with your feet flat on the floor, shoulder-width apart. Now, cross your arms over your chest, and without using your hands for momentum, stand up to a fully upright position. Then, slowly and with control, lower yourself back down to a seated position. That's 1 repetition. The goal is to perform 10 of these. If 10 is too much to start, do 5. If 5 is too much, do 3. The number doesn't matter as much as the quality of the movement and the consistency of doing it every single day. If you experience any sharp pain in your knees or hips, that's a red flag, and you should stop and consult with a physical therapist or your doctor. For most of us, though, this simple movement is a powerful daily investment in our fundamental mobility. Performing that sit-to-stand builds raw power in your legs. But power without control can be wobbly and unsafe. It's like having a powerful engine in a car with bad steering. This is why our 3rd step is dedicated entirely to building stability and control, directly addressing the risk of falls. This step is the single limb stance. Think about those small moments that can catch you off guard. You're in the kitchen, you reach up into a high cabinet for a plate, and for just a split second, you feel a little unsteady on your feet. Or you're walking on uneven pavement and have to catch yourself. Those are moments where your balance is being tested. According to fall prevention experts at Johns Hopkins Medicine, exercises that challenge your balance are one of the most effective ways to reduce your risk of a fall. The real power of the single limb stance is that it trains not just the big muscles in your legs, but the hundreds of tiny stabilizer muscles in your feet, ankles, and hips. It also strengthens the connection between your brain and your body, a system called proprioception, which is your body's internal sense of where it is in space. Many people think balance is something you either have or you don't, but that's not true. Balance is a skill. It's like learning to ride a bicycle. You might be a bit wobbly at first, but with practice, your brain and body learn to coordinate, and it becomes second nature again. The action step here requires a sturdy support. A kitchen counter or the back of a heavy, stable chair is ideal. Stand next to your support, holding on lightly with one hand. Now shift your weight onto one foot and lift the other foot off the ground just a few inches. Try to hold this position for 10 to 15 seconds. Keep your gaze fixed on a point in front of you, which will help you stay steady. After 10 or 15 seconds, gently lower your foot and then switch to the other side. As you get more confident, you can challenge yourself. Try holding on with just one finger. Then, try letting go completely for a second or two, always staying close enough to grab on if you need to. If you feel persistent dizziness or a sense of vertigo while doing this, that's a clear signal to talk to your doctor, as it could indicate an inner ear issue or another medical condition. But for most of us, this brief daily practice is like a tune-up for our body's steering and suspension, ensuring that the power we build in our legs can be used safely and confidently. All right, let's just take a quick pause here. We are halfway through our 5-minute ritual, and you've already done 3 incredibly important things. You've hydrated your body and set a positive intention for the day. You've started building foundational strength in your legs with the sit to stand, and you've begun sharpening your balance to prevent falls. Just these 3 actions alone, if done consistently, can lead to a remarkable improvement in how you feel and move throughout your day. It's about feeling stronger, more stable, and more in control. If you're finding this guide helpful so far, if it's speaking to you, I would be so grateful if you could take just 1 second and tap that like button below this video. It's a small thing, but it sends a powerful message to me that this is the kind of respectful, in-depth content that truly helps. And it also helps this video reach other people just like you who are committed to protecting their independence. Thank you for that. Now, let's get back to it. So far, we've established a stable base. But what about the strength we need for the 1,000 little tasks that make up a day? I'm talking about pushing open a heavy glass door at the post office, lifting a bag of groceries out of the car, or even just pushing yourself up from the side of a swimming pool. This brings us to step number 4, the wall push-up. Many of us hear the word push-up and immediately think of getting down on the floor, which can be intimidating and potentially stressful for the wrists and shoulders. The beauty of the wall push-up, a movement often recommended in senior fitness guides like those from the Mayo Clinic health system, is that it provides the same benefits for your upper body strength in a much safer and more accessible way. It strengthens your chest muscles, your shoulders, and your triceps, all the pushing muscles that we rely on constantly. I always think of my father, who was a lifelong handyman. He used to say, "You need 2 kinds of strength in life: pulling strength to bring things toward you, and pushing strength to make your way in the world." The wall push-up is the perfect way to maintain that essential pushing strength. The action step is straightforward. Stand facing a clear, solid wall, about arm's length away. Place your palms flat on the wall, slightly wider than your shoulders, at about shoulder height. Now, keeping your back straight and your core engaged, bend your elbows and slowly lean your body toward the wall until your nose is close to it. Then, powerfully push back until your arms are straight again. That's 1 rep. Aim for a set of 10 to 15 repetitions. The key is control. Avoid letting your back sag or going too fast. This should be a smooth, deliberate movement. As with any exercise, if you feel a sharp or pinching pain, particularly in your shoulders or wrists, you should stop. But for the vast majority of people, This is a fantastic way to ensure your upper body remains a capable and reliable partner in the tasks of daily living. This next step builds upon all the others. It uses the leg strength from the sit to stand, the balance from the single limb stance, and the upper body strength from the wall push-up. And it addresses what is, for many, the single biggest fear associated with aging and living alone. So I want to approach this one with the seriousness it deserves. This is step number 5, the floor to stand practice. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Get on the floor? On purpose? It sounds counterintuitive, perhaps even a little frightening, and I want to validate that feeling completely. The fear of getting down and not being able to get back up is a real and legitimate concern. So let's address that head on. There's a story that circulates in health forums online, and it's one that has always stuck with me. A 74-year-old man shared that his doctor, a very forward-thinking physician, gave him one piece of homework to do every single day. It wasn't to take a new pill or a supplement. It was this: get down on the floor, in the middle of the room, and then get back up again. The doctor's reasoning was chillingly practical. He had seen too many patients whose lives were irrevocably changed, not by a serious injury from a fall, but by the simple inability to get up afterward. They would have a minor slip, be completely unhurt, but find themselves trapped on the floor for hours, sometimes even days, until a neighbor or a family member found them. That single event, the helplessness, the loss of dignity, is often the crisis point that forces someone to lose their independence. So, practicing this movement is not about tempting fate. It is the exact opposite. It is about looking that fear directly in the eye and proving to yourself that you can master it. This isn't just an exercise. It's a life skill. It's a dress rehearsal for a potential emergency, building the strength, the confidence, and the muscle memory to know that you have a plan. It is a profound declaration of self-reliance. Here is how we practice it safely. The action step must be done with care, and for the first few times, I strongly recommend having a family member or friend nearby. You will need that same sturdy chair we used for the sit-to-stands. Place it firmly beside you. Start by standing next to the chair. The first move is to slowly get down onto one knee, using the chair for support if you need it. Then, bring the other knee down so you are in a stable kneeling position. From here, transition to your side and then gently lower yourself to a seated position on the floor. And finally, to lying on your back. Take a breath. You did it. Now, for the hard part, getting back up. The process is simply reversed. Roll onto your side, then push yourself up to that seated position. From there, move into the kneeling position on both knees. Now, here is the critical part. Place both hands firmly on the seat of the chair. Bring one foot forward, placing it flat on the floor so your knee is bent at a 90-degree angle. Now, using the strength in your arms to push off the chair and the strength in your front leg, push yourself up to a standing position. Take your time. Be deliberate. If this feels too difficult, that's okay. The very act of attempting it, of figuring out the mechanics, is building strength. The red flag here is obvious. If you do not feel safe attempting this alone, please don't. Ask for help. But practicing this, even once a week, can transform your sense of security. It turns a source of deep anxiety into a problem for which you have a solution. Mastering that critical physical skill provides an incredible sense of security and confidence. But as we all know, true, lasting independence isn't just a matter of the body. Our minds, our ability to reason, to remember, to solve problems, are the command center of our lives. This brings us to our sixth and final step in the ritual, the 1-minute cognitive boost. We've all had those frustrating moments. You walk into a room and completely forget why you went in there. Or You struggle to recall the name of a familiar actor. It's right on the tip of your tongue, but it just won't come. While some of this is a normal part of aging, the National Institute on Aging emphasizes that an active, engaged mind is crucial for maintaining cognitive health. Think of your brain like a muscle. If you only ever do the same comfortable, repetitive tasks, it doesn't get challenged. But when you introduce novel problems and new information, you force it to create new connections, new neural pathways. It's the mental equivalent of taking a different route on your daily walk. I think of my aunt, who at 85 swears by her daily crossword puzzle. She doesn't just do it for fun. She calls it flossing her brain. She says it keeps her sharp and connected, and her memory is astonishing. The action step here is designed to be quick and enjoyable. It's just 1 minute. That's it. Take 60 seconds to engage with a small mental challenge. This could be solving 2 or 3 clues in a crossword puzzle. It could be filling in a few rows of a Sudoku. It could be playing a quick game on a brain trading app on your phone or tablet. The specific activity is less important than the principle. You are actively challenging your brain to do something new and stimulating. Of course, it's vital to note that if you or a loved one are experiencing significant, rapid, or worrying changes in memory or cognitive ability, this is not something to ignore. That is a clear sign to have a conversation with your doctor. But for the daily practice of staying sharp, this 1-minute mental workout is a perfect way to cap off your morning ritual. And just like that, in about the time it takes to brew a pot of coffee, you've completed the entire ritual. Let's just quickly recap the incredible work you've done. You didn't just do a few exercises. You made 6 strategic investments in your future. You hydrated your body and calmed your mind. You fired up the powerful muscles in your legs. You sharpened your balance and dramatically reduced your fall risk. You maintained the functional upper body strength you need for daily life. You confronted a deep-seated fear by mastering a life-saving skill. And you challenged your brain to keep it sharp and agile. This is so much more than a 5-minute routine. It is a daily, deliberate act of defiance against the notion that we must become weaker or less capable as we age. It is a vote you cast every single morning for your own independence, for your self-respect, and for your dignity. This is how you prove to yourself, first and foremost, that you are still strong, you are still stable, and you are still in control of the life you have so carefully built. Now, I would love to hear from you. We've covered 6 distinct steps today, each with its own purpose. Which one of these was the biggest aha moment for you? Was it the idea of the sit-to-stand, the life-saving potential of the floor-to-stand practice, or maybe even the simplicity of starting the day with water and gratitude? Please take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments section below. Reading your experiences and insights is not only encouraging for me, but it creates a community of support for everyone watching. And if you found this conversation valuable, if it resonated with you on a deeper level, please consider hitting that subscribe button and ringing the little notification bell. It's the best way to ensure you don't miss our future deep dives into living a strong, healthy, and independent life. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It's a privilege to share this journey with you. Be well, stay strong, and refuse to give up an ounce of the independence you have so rightly earned. I'll see you in the next video.